Okay, welcome Tanya Inside Out G4 Tufshin Pei Hey. Chapter 7. And we're now discussing Klippa's Noiga in detail. Yeah, we've discussed, we've opened up. You want to come close? Whatever you want to say.
We'll only stay for 10 minutes.
Huh?
I'm going to only stay for 10 minutes at Bruce's soon.
Okay, it's fine. No offense will be taken. This is
I
definitely.
put Bill Rudd as well.
So
I really enjoy it.
So we explained that Klippa is. We explained that Klippa is the mechanism that Hashem uses to give you the illusion of the fact that you're something separate from Him. Simple. And that's why the gematria of Klippa is Bechira. Klippa provides you with Bechira. And like we said, there's all these things that we're dealing with, yeah? All these tivas and averas and stuff that we're trying to deal with. But really, when you get to the source of it, you'll realize that there's only one thing you're trying to deal with, is that full sense of self that you keep falling for. Yeah? That's a source of all averas. And that's Klippa. So we said the Klippa divides into two levels. Yeah, there's the Klippas Timaeus, what they call the Gimel Klippas Timaeus, and then there's Klippas Noiga. Yeah, Gimel Klippas Timaeus, we only speak about it as one thing, although it's called Gimel Klippas Timaeus, but it's really just one, we speak about it as one thing. So that's the lower, darker Klippa, that completely conceals Hashem. Whereas the Klippas Noiga only partially conceals Hashem. Like we said, the analogy is the difference between transparent glass, translucent glass, and a wall. Yeah, transparent glass is Kedusha. So when you look at, when someone says, look there, they point to the window, you don't think about the window, you're thinking about what's outside the window. The window draws no attention, as long as it's clean. Yeah, the window draws no attention to itself whatsoever. It's completely, I don't like to use the word buttle, but it's buttle. It's hard. You only realize it is something, yeah, but it doesn't draw any attention to itself. Yeah, those are the kind of people that we like. That's called a humble person. Then you've got Klippas Noiga, which is translucent glass, where you realize, you know, if it's day or night outside, yeah, but you don't see any details. And there's also madrigas in that as well. Yeah, but you can see, like, from that window over there, that's translucent. So you can see that it's daytime at the lower part. But you don't, that's it. You see there's some kind of green there, but no details. No, it doesn't give any definition. Yeah? So it conceals. So when I point to the window and say, look at that, yeah, then you actually probably notice the window, as opposed to what's outside the window, like with Kedusha. Yeah, and then there's Klippas Timaeus, which is the wall. Well, you don't even know there's anything behind that Bechlal. Nothing. Yeah, so those are the three levels. And the human soul of the Jew is from Klippas Noiga. It derives its energy from Klippas Noiga, which means in its natural state it has a certain level of transparency. It allows light to go through. It's not utterly selfish. So, like Freud and his Chevra said that there's no concept. The idea of altruism is it doesn't exist. Truthfully, you could dig down deep enough, and you'll see that it's not a real thing. There's always some kind of self involvement there. Yeah, we don't say that. He was wrong.
But I'll say that also the only mitzvah the Shema that people do that don't expect anything back is
mitzvah. Okay, let's say the fact that that's possible. Yeah, that's even if there's nothing more than that. I think Chazal was alluding to the fact that it's possible. With that mitzvah, Meis mitzvah is the idea of you're not getting anything back from it. Yeah, but Avada, it's available to all Jews to serve selflessly. And according to my Rebbe, and I heard in the name of the Lubavitcher Rebbe as well, but I heard my Rebbe say this to me twice, mamash from his mouth, that in this generation, there's lots of non-Jews whose soul comes from this place now. The Tanya does not say that. Tanya is the
place
opposite of
does
that.
that come from?
Klippos Noga, meaning that there are human beings, not Yisrael, there are human beings in this world, and maybe a lot of them who are actually naturally able to appreciate another person, at least to whatever degree. Yeah. So like that, we'll leave it. But I heard that from my Rebbe twice, and I saw it from said in the name of the Babich Rebbe a couple of times. Okay, so the human soul of the Jew.
Does that mean they also have like a godly soul?
No,
No.
Then it'd be Jew. That's the definition of a Jew.
Right.
A Jew, to the best of my knowledge, it wouldn't make any sense, but who knows, that Nishmas Yisrael, a Jewish soul could not be in proximity with a human soul that's from Klippos Tameas. That's not compatible. Like, whether it happens or not, I don't know, but according to the Sfar of the system of the Tanya, that would make sense, because the whole point of the Jew having the soul from this middle place called Klippos Noga is because it's available to be elevated. You can't elevate what's from Klippos Tameas in this stage of history, in this Tekufa. You can't elevate Klippos Tameas, so you can't elevate Chazir, even to eat it b'koch nefesh. There could be maybe you could argue that, I don't know. I've heard it argued not like that as well. But the avoider of Klippos Tameas is you have to avoid them. That's their tikkun. You can't actually actively raise them up. They give you the opportunity to not do something. Whereas the things of the permissible world, which is Klippos Noga, that you can raise up. Like you can raise up a game of pool. If it's in the right place, at the right time, with the right people, you can raise up a kosher piece of meat. A kosher piece of meat is not a mitzvah. You can raise that up. That's Klippos Noga. That can be elevated. That's what we're going to talk about now. But a treif piece of meat, you can't raise up. So the reason why the Jew has a human soul, which is the animating soul that allows you to move, from Klippos Noga, is because that's what we're here to elevate. That's it. That's what we're here to elevate. So it wouldn't make any sense if that was from Klippos Tameas, because then what would your job description be? You know what I mean?
To elevate the things that are mutter. To elevate the mutter things. The things they're permitted to do to elevate them. Eating, whatever.
There's a mutter, there's a reshus. So, like in a sense, the nefesh of Bahamas is mutter. It's in reshus. It's not a forbidden entity. You don't have to avoid it. In fact, you're not meant to avoid it. You're meant to raise up the nefesh of Bahamas. That's the whole point of it, and that is the deepest tikkun. That is the deepest. That is the deepest tikkun of this world, because the only thing in this world that actually, what's the most opposite thing to Hashem? Does Hashem has an opposite? What?
No, that's the Zohar.
Avodah Zarah.
The Zohar is the thing which says I am, but not God.
That would be called Avodah Zarah. Davar bifnei atzmo, the ego, biduk, same thing. Yeah, self-conscious, not neshama, like nefesh. You mean like the human soul?
Saying,
not the neshama. Yeah, the human soul says ani v'afsi oid. I am and God isn't. That's the opposite of God. Just as a cute thing. Ein Sof is Aleph Samach, and Sitra Achra is Samach Aleph. Just as a cute thing. Yeah, that's just a cute way to remember it. The Sitra Achra, the feeling of separation from God, the feeling that I have my own agenda outside of Hashem's agenda, that is the most unholy thing in all of creation. And that's the part that the Jew is having to lift up. So this is the tragedy of not learning this. This is really the tragedy. Mamash, the tragedy of not knowing this, is that you can be involved in Torah and mitzvahs, mamash, ad soif, but if you don't realize that the whole point of everything is to be elevating your ego, your sense of self to Hashem, then you could be working really, really hard with tanesim and sigufim and all different kinds of avoiders, and you're not doing like what you're really meant to be doing. That's the tragedy of not knowing this. It's really tragic. Like I've said to many people, not knowing, for a Jew to not understand klipa clearly is for a carpenter to not know what wood is. It's like, what are you doing? Literally, what are you doing? You have no idea. You're working harder and harder. You're pushing more and more. You're learning more Mishnayos, more Daf Yomi. Mamash, breaking your midas as well. Yeah, but you don't. You're getting further and further. It's not just like the in the posh of the world where we say the Chassidim kind of smirk at the others and say they're not doing it with a Brent and it's just about learning, but it's about tikkun midas and tefillah and v'chulei. Yeah, all of this can be, if you don't know the foundation of the whole thing, everything can be drafted by Sitra Achra. Everything, mamash. And it says, and I don't know if we mentioned this, but just in Yana Diyoma, the Bayis Sheni, if you look in the Gemara, the Bayis Sheni was destroyed. It said but the Gemara, before the Gemara says Sinas Chinam, it says there was Torah, mitzvahs, and Gemilas Chasadim. But there was Sinas Chinam. By Bayis Rishon, there was Shvichas Damim, Gili Arayas, and Avodah Zara. Yeah, but there was a Shtikla Munah. And they have a whole machlokas, which one's worse? And it comes out, it's three-way machlokas, but it comes out, the halacha is that it was, the second Chorban was worse. Araya, it's been going on for 2,000 years. The first Chorban was for 80 years. So what does that mean? That there was Torah, not avodah, sorry, Torah, mitzvahs, and Gemilas Chasadim, because there was Sinas Chinam. That's just a code word for what you just said. Sinas Chinam is I'm me and you're you. That's Sinas Chinam. I don't look at us as some kind of cohesive, unified whole. There's me and there's you. Sheli. That's exactly. That's also Yesh Omer Midas Stoim. That's Midas Stoim. Sheli v'shochach shalach. Oh, you said Sheli. Okay, that's a Russia. Yeah, that's a Russia. But Midas Stoim is that's Pasha. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's much more subtle than just that. It's what's mine's mine, what's yours is yours. That's also Midas Stoim. Yeah, you show him that's Midas Stoim. Does it have to be? No. It's not my stuff isn't your stuff isn't my stuff, yeah? But if you're not careful, yeah, that can cause lots of trouble. So the whole avodah of Yiddishkeit we're going to say it here. You can say it like this: the whole avodah of Yiddishkeit is giving your pleasure to Hashem. That is literally the most profound thing I can ever say.
Explanation.
Yeah, let's unpack that over the next 20 years. Yeah.
No, like
I'll try it over now, but I'm telling you, that is literally the most profound thing that I can say. Yeah, the real avodas Hashem is giving your pleasure to the Avodah Hashem.
I understand, but I just want to. That could be interpreted two ways, maybe more than two ways by what you're saying. But I see it as either you are sacrificing your pleasure because of Hashem, or you are having pleasure for the sake of Hashem.
But that's it. That's both are true. Maybe the second level is the more elevated level than the first level. The first level maybe is called precious, where you give up your pleasures for Hashem, and the higher level is when your pleasures actually are aligned with what His pleasures are. Imagine how idyllic your marriage would be if your pleasure and your wife's pleasure was the same thing. Imagine that her buying the shaitel, whatever it was, I don't know what kind of world you're in, yeah? No, I'm talking about my matter. Imagine that if your wife's pleasure to buy a shaitel was your pleasure. Marriage is that's why you marry a woman. That's the point. Because it would be too easy otherwise. Marrying a woman, if you've been married for a few years, you realise that you're just, it took me years to cut this, that your mama's completely different. You're just different, like just so different. Her pleasure is a completely different thing to my pleasure, and I can't appreciate her pleasure. For me to dress the kids up in nice, I appreciate when I see them like that, but it's not like something that moves me, whatever, to get like a new program on the computer that helps me do something quicker. Like now you're talking. Like my wife bought me some goggles. My wife bought me some goggles for my it's actually for anniversary. Yeah, you know goggles like for you call them goggles in America. Yeah, for swimming.
For the computer or for
No, for swimming goggles. Yeah, with my prescription.
Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
And but on top of that, she gave it to me in this box with like loads of like things she had done, loads of stuff for, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, and I'm like, I was so blown away by the goggles. I'm like, that is so. I'm so grateful. If I gave her a pair of prescription goggles, I don't know what she'd say. I mean, I do know what she'd say. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Like I've made the mistake of buying her things for the kitchen. You know, over the past, you've done that, yeah, and you're like, you want this so much. This is going to help you so much. It's going to make your life easier. You're going to make the kids happier. It's going to be less washing up. And she's looking at you like I don't know.
You don't get it.
Yeah, like you slapped her or something.
Why don't you understand me?
Yeah, that's it. Then you buy her like a piece of jewellery that you're like, what do you want? Like, why is that? Yeah, and she's really grateful. That's what the point is that her pleasure is something completely different to your pleasure. So you have to like work that out after like.
But flowers, I kind of understand. I understand why they like flowers.
So there's also there's also men who are more feminine, women who are more masculine. Like, but the pole of feminine and masculine, that's the.
Nature is pretty.
The what?
Nature is pretty. It makes
Yeah, say that. But you understand what I'm saying. The point is that the men, the basic klal, again, when we say men and women, we're really talking about zoch and nekeva, not actual men and women. We're talking about the koyach of masculinity and the koyach of femininity. That doesn't give rise to all the woke shtuyot, but that is like a real Indian. You do get men who are feminine and you get women who are masculine. That doesn't make her a man, that makes her masculine. Anyway, the klal, the basic klal on a very low resolution is, not on a very low resolution, but on a relatively low resolution, is that women like things for the thing itself. Men like things that produce some kind of benefit. Tools. In any way, exactly. Men like things that do stuff. Women like things that just are. And that's why women can be much more...
for them it's more for a status symbol.
The what?
I think for them it's more of a status symbol.
No. That's not the fact. That would be the masculine aspect in a woman. If a woman gets a nice diamond ring, yeah, a good Jewish woman, yeah, well, not any good woman, a good Jewish woman will feel a little bit. What's the word?
Ostentatious.
Yeah, like, but she'll feel like she'll feel a little bit awkward in front of her friends, maybe. Like if that would be. She doesn't want it for the status symbol. She actually loves it. She loves the thing. That's why the mother is the foundation of the children, is because the children are loved. The father, like, I can't deal with my kids until they're at least like 1.5, 2, until they're like at least cute. You know what I'm saying?
The tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for men to relate to little babies, mamash. And you see women cooing and gooing over babies. You're like what is that? Or what are you doing there? Again, I'm just talking klalim, but it's important to understand that women can appreciate things as an end unto themselves more, and men need things that are more utilitarian, exactly, more functional. Yeah. Okay. So, I remember now where I know you from. You're from. You don't want to show us that.
Hello.
Excuse me?
Slicha. I just remembered now where I know you from. We've done the Shiva Tzaddik together sometimes. What's your name? Sham Shmuel. Okay, nice to meet you. Anyway, so the real avoider of Yiddishkeit, like we said, is that's why I didn't use the word sacrificing your pleasure. It's giving your pleasure to Hashem. What is your pleasure? What is that? Huh? What is pleasure? Right, let me ask you a question. Yeah, why do you like?
That makes you feel good.
Why do you like pleasure?
not
Makes you
painful.
feel good.
What?
Makes you feel good.
That's just, you just said the same thing. That's like, why do you like pleasure?
It's not
Because I
painful.
like pleasure.
It makes you feel like you. We talked about this.
Fills you.
It touches the best. There's what you can say in lots of ways. Yeah, it touches you. Pleasure is an end unto itself. You don't want pleasure for a reason. The reason you do X, Y, and Z is for pleasure. It always gets to pleasure or avoiding pain, which is the same thing basically. Yeah. Pleasure is the very root of who you are. If you want to boil everything down, like we've said this so many times, you want to boil reality down to the most fundamental truth is it's a fight between two pleasures. The pleasure MET, which is called Ratzon Hashem. Ratzon and pleasure Ratzon's an outer manifestation of pleasure. Ratzon and pleasure are the same thing basically. For the level of resolution we're talking. Yeah, you want something because it has pleasure. So it's a choice between his pleasure, Yisborach, and my pleasure. That's it. That's the whole game. What?
That's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. That is the whole game. The whole game is the giving of. And that was what Chet Eitzadas was. That pleasure. If he had waited, or Chaim says that if he had waited for until Kiddush, he could have made Kiddush on the 8th of the pre of the Eitzadas. Yeah, whatever that was. But it was only forbidden temporarily. Yeah, but the Pasha Pshat is that Adam indulged in his pleasure. See, now this is the problem in Yiddishkeit, is because if you don't know this, yeah, and you just grew up in the fold, it's like.
It wasn't for his pleasure.
What?
It was not for his pleasure. It was for the. He didn't even know it was going to give him pleasure. She enticed him. So it built the tavon of an unknown. It's a search for the unknown.
100%. There's I was just saying the Pasha. I hear what you're saying. There's endless levels to that story, and maybe it wasn't even a Chet Bichlal. You can understand it in many ways. But there's endless. Like literally, there's endless pshatim. There's that endless ways to understand that. The very Pasha pshat is that Adam or Chava together put their pleasure in front of Hashem's pleasure. He said, "Don't do it," and they did it. Why else would you do something? It's not like your kid. You say to your kid, "Don't flick yourself. Don't hurt yourself." It's not like the kid will do. There's some kind of pleasure in what the child will do. So your pleasure, this is what we're trying to elevate to Hashem. So if you don't know this, and this doesn't mean that Yiddishkeit shouldn't be pleasurable, it's the opposite. Yiddishkeit should be pleasurable, but it's not an end unto itself. You experiencing pleasure is not an end unto itself. That's the point. If your pleasure is an end unto itself, well, what does something mean that is an end unto itself? What is Elohim Acherim? What does God mean?
It doesn't go anywhere. It stays with you. It's a husk. It's
what God Elohim Acherim, you say?
If you do something for yourself, it's confined to you, and it's not given to Hashem, which is eternal. So it becomes this thing that's trapped, like within the person himself.
So what is that? When something becomes what you're saying in Tanya is called a davar bifnei atzmo, something unto itself. That's klipa. That's called avodah zarah. That's called Elohim Acherim. That's called ra. That's called chitzonim. Whatever you want to call that, yeah. That's called avodah zarah. That is avodah zarah. Turning something into an end unto itself is called avodah zarah.
If it doesn't drag you,
It's always avodah zarah is always yourself. Like I said, there's only two options. That's why the avodah. What's the ikka avodah in Chumash of the paradigm of avodah zarah in the Chumash? What's the paradigm of avodah zarah in the Chumash?
Oh, the eagle is a...
No. The avodah zarah. What?
Molech.
No. Baal Peor.
Baal
Baal Peor. What's the avodah of Baal Peor? You defecate in front of this. What's that about? What's pshat? Listen to this, and this is exactly what we're talking about now. You eat for one of two reasons. There's only two reasons why you eat. Unless you're
To enjoy or not to die?
so either to give you energy or to have for pleasure. Either to give you energy or for pleasure. Which one is an end? Which one is a means to an end? It's just so clear. Pleasure is the end. You go to you already ate lunch. Why are you now having a snack? You don't need to eat. You don't even feel like you want the pleasure. That's an end unto itself, yeah? Whereas no, I need to get some energy so that I can. That's a means to an end. You know? So the week is meant to be spent in the situation of doing things so that I can.
Get to Shabbos.
But so that everything is a means to an end in the week. That's Klipa. The week is Klipadik. Yeah, Shabbos is Kadosh. That's why Shabbos is Oineg. Because Shabbos is an end unto itself. So that's funny because the most basic understanding of Shabbos is that it's rest, yeah? And you would think that rest means so that you can get energy to carry on the next week. That's Asa. It's Asa to rest on Shabbos so you've got energy for the rest of the next week. It's Hachana, it's Mamash Asa.
You have to rest as if you inhabit Hashem. What's Hashem?
Yes, Kol Malachta Shasuya.
No, but if
Kol Malachta
you
Shasuya.
take a nap so you could after the nap learn and do mincha b'kavana, that's a different story.
But you can't do Hachana for Motzi Shabbos. So if you're resting, and that's a whole big thing on when Pesach falls out on Motzi Shabbos, when Leil Pesach is on Motzi Shabbos, that's a whole thing that the place can talk about, is that are you allowed to have a nap on Shabbos afternoon so that you'll have energy for the evening? And you can't say that beferish, you know? Anyway, so that's the two options. You're eating either for the pleasure or you're eating for energy. If you're eating for pleasure, then you would say, well, the end is the pleasure of the food, yeah? But this is one of the most important things I've ever learned, the way of reframing how to say that. We've said this before. Yeah, it's not that it's giving you pleasure, and this is also wrong. It's touching your pleasure. That food that you like, it's not that it gives you pleasure, it's that it touches your pleasure. Even to call it your pleasure is wrong. It really touches the essence of you, the essence of the created being.
So pain is basically the same thing, but
So what?
So pain is the same thing, but from the different, from like.
Pain is the same. Pain is sensate. Yeah.
It's also like something that touches.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah, exactly. That's why you can. That's why Tisha B'Av is also moed. It's mamash, and it's going to be the most halig of all days. Just because right now, because we're so we're living in such a egocentric world, such a selfish world, that pain to us is once you've been elevated, and this is the side of Rabbi Akiva, that once you've become elevated from this individual sense of self, and you're now in the real world, yeah, whatever you want to call that, Olam Haba, Hashem, however you want to call that, yeah, then it's just sensation. Whether it's painful, whether it's pleasurable, it's just sensation.
So the self is the ratzon?
The self is the pleasure. You can say it's the ratzon also. That wouldn't be wrong at all. But what we're saying right now is we're talking about pleasure. Yeah. So now when you eat.
I'm sorry. How do you elevate pain? I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Right now, how do you elevate pain? Well, I mean, elevating pain would be like on Tisha B'Av. You're gonna do a fast. Yeah, that's called a tsar. That's elevating that, fasting. L'shem Shemaim would be a good example of elevating pain. Yeah, and Yisurim Bichlal elevate a person if you let them, if you don't resist. Anyway, in fact, it's easier to be elevated through pain than it is to elevate pleasure. Takes a lot of learning and a lot of discipline and a lot of just truth, like just a lot of learning as well, a lot of awareness, really a lot of awareness. Like, have you ever been involved in something very pleasurable and really try to. Most people like lose themselves in the pleasure. You're doing something very pleasurable, you just kind of lose yourself. But you ever like try to actually dissect what's going on when you're having pleasure? That's difficult to do. That's a very worthwhile thing to do. Ask yourself, what?
אל תתפאר.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Don't be prepared. Don't be surprised, right?
No, it's not surprise. It's don't be.
What, with the base or the pay?
Tit. With a
Tit, yeah.
Pa'el. Titpa'el.
With an
With the
iron?
ayn, or with the ayn, with the aleph, with the pele or the pei, peula.
Titpa'el?
Rabbi Milubavitch said that.
Don't be like affected by it.
Don't let it.
Oh, you're saying how you would do that? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So
I
it's just.
thought you meant like pele, like titpael.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Titpael with
I thought you
the
said-
ayn, with the ayn. That's a different, right.
Don't
That's how I was like,
don't be
surprised.
sucked into it. There is a time and place where you do need to be sucked into it, but I'm just saying it's a worthwhile thing to do when you're eating a piece of chocolate. Yeah, have a think. What's going on? How comes I was just like that for like 20 minutes until I found a piece of chocolate, and now I'm eating the chocolate? What is that? Yeah, just go there. You know,
Nerve is the firing and sending a
that's
signal.
just but what that's really doing is it's touching your pleasure. It's touching your pleasure, and that's really the ultimate drive of the nefesh Bahamas is pleasure. And what's the ultimate pleasure?
Being one with God.
The ultimate pleasure of creation.
The creation.
What? To live.
What's that?
To live. To what?
The act of intimacy.
Intimacy.
Act of intimacy.
Oh, the act of intimacy. No, that's just physical. The ultimate pleasure, the way I understand it, is life. But because we don't know what it means to not be alive, yeah, we we don't appreciate that. But that's why Ratzon and when we say Ratzon, by the way, yeah, we don't mean I have a Ratzon to drink a beer or I have a Ratzon to be with my wife. That doesn't mean that at all. It means I have a Ratzon to live. That's what Ratzon means. That's Ratzon. That when you say I want to be with my wife or I want to drink beer, yeah, that's emotion. That's not Ratzon. There's only one Ratzon. Ratzon is to live. That's it. It's beyond the system. Ratzon is a makif, yeah, which means you don't have any control over that. So you can't give up your will to live, yeah. And the exceptions to the rule prove the rule. Yeah, you can't give up your will to live, nor do you want to give up your will to live. Yeah, that the ultimate pleasure is living. And that's why Oineg and Ratzon are basically, Oineg is the pneumius of Ratzon, Ratzon is the chetzonius of Oineg. It's just, Ratzon is Oineg going out. Ratzon is Oineg going out. Oineg is self-contained. If it wasn't for Ratzon Hashem, well, you can't like divide them. Yeah, but you really just can't divide them. But the Tainug Hashem, that understand it, wouldn't have actually caused the world to come into being. It took Ratzon Hashem that caused the world to come into being. Ratzon is Tainug moving, Tainug doing something. Tainug is more like darkness than light. Yeah, that's called the what's it called? What?
That's what they say, something like that.
Wait, it's called the Butsina, the what's it called? The Butsina, the Butsina, the.
About the absence of light.
No, it's not. It's not like darkness. Where it's called the what's it called? The Yitzhak. What's his name? Yeah. What's it called? The Butsina, the Chardonita. Thank you. The Butsina de Chardonita. Yeah, which is the dark lamp. That's what it's called. The
dark lamp?
The dark lamp. It's an Indian in the Zohar. It's a lush.
So it's something that exudes darkness, that radiates darkness?
No, because darkness doesn't radiate.
Right, but
it's just...
It is.
It's the stage before light.
No, but
it's not a chesaron of light. It's the source of light.
It's the dark lamp as in the lamp that hasn't been lit?
No.
Black hole.
I'm trying to
Good. Yeah, I don't know if you can understand this, but the Indian of the actual. These are very, very deep ideas.
The darkness, the light is brighter than
It's
that.
the, it's
This is we're talking about a different. We're talking about a dark. We're talking about the darkness of the Ein Sof.
I understand, but I'm just trying to compare it to, in my limited understanding, to the physical world, right? So there's a darkness, and then there's the darkness of the black hole, which is so strong that it actually absorbs the light, it captures all the light that doesn't let any light through. And that feels like it's radiating darkness because it's actually capturing the light. So,
That sounds really cool, and I'm thinking all kinds of different stuff right now. But that's not like it's not getting the idea clear. Yeah, the
that's
idea,
what I'm trying to get the idea.
That sounds amazing, and I will think about that a lot. Baruch Hashem. But the point is that the iris is a mashal for the person. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I say look at his eye and describe his eye, describes like what would you say?
it's like
Color, the size,
Light,
the
dark,
colors.
Green.
Green, light, dark. What kind of patterns? Yeah. What about the pupil?
Bloodshot.
What about just black? It's just black.
That's
It's not even round. You know, pupil's not even round. What makes it round is the iris around the pupil. That's the aperture around the pupil. So you don't know what shape the pupil is. Look, it probably is round, but you don't know that. It's just black. That's the essence of who you are. The essence of who you are. There's nothing to talk about. What the iris is the shame. That's your name. You can talk about your name forever. Yeah, what you've got, what you do, how you behave, your relationships, your connections, your resources, your temperament, your emotions, your mind, everything. That's all name. Yeah, but what about the one who has the name, as we've said many times? Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Baruch hu. Baruch Shemoi. What do we say about him himself? Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. What did you say about him? You said nothing about him whatsoever. Blessed is the one who said,
Told the world to be.
and so you didn't say anything about him. You didn't actually describe. You just said what he does, and then you said Baruch hu, and then you go on Baruch Omer v'Goyze, and you give him shevach after shevach after shevach, and then you say Baruch Shemoi. That's the Shemoi.
The Rabbi Eliezer says that lo haya ela hu v'kvodo v'shmo, right?
That's the truth. That's what we're trying to fight against. That's our avoid in this world, to show that him and his name is one. But the way reality is right now is that there's him and his name. Yeah, that's the avoid of a bracha, by the way. We say Baruch atah Hashem. What do you say? Baruch hu, Baruch Shemoi. Yeah, Elokeinu melech ha'olam she'hakol niyeh b'dvaro. Amen is 91, which is the shiluv of Havaya and Adnas. That's when they came together. So the whole avoid of the bracha is the journey from Baruch hu, Baruch Shemoi, to Amen, which is he and his name, Havaya and Adnas, together as one. It's the whole avoid of 91 is Adnas is Havaya Adnas. Okay, that's a sidebar. But the who you are is, when you say it's nothing, it's dangerous, because you could say like this: the who you are is nothing. That's wrong. Or you could say the who you are is no thing. That's absolutely right. It's so much that it's no thing. But say it's nothing, that's absolutely incorrect. It's no thing. So if it's no thing, what are you talking about? That's how we need to be relating to people. They've got a body, they've got a personality, they've got all these layers of stuff, yeah? But you're meant to be talking to the person. That's why when you're face to face, you say atah. That's you, beyond name. That's the nameless you. That's the nameless you. That's the you. That's who you are. Yeah? That's or at least it's a tunnel to the who you are. But the who you are is like a black, it's like black. It's not light. Light is your name. That's why there was the Ein Sof, and then there was the Or Ein Sof. The Ein Sof is and this is a trip. If you understand this is a crazy trip. I literally, when I heard this, I literally fell off my seat. Didn't literally, but like really nearly fell off my seat. At least I wanted to fall off my seat. That this comes out. Yo, listen to this. Just listen to this one thing. It comes out that if the who you are is actually more related to darkness and Tzimtzum, and the next level is actually going out, it comes out that Ein Sof, which is just it. It's not Or Ein Sof. Or Ein Sof is already expansive, going out. Yeah, Ein Sof is just, yeah. That has infinitely more in common with Tzimtzum. You hear that? The actual Ein Sof, the essence of reality itself, has more in common, so to speak, with Tzimtzum than it does with Gilui. Enter Olam Hazeh in creation. You hear what I just said there?
The words.
That's a modic idea. This is the essence of what the Lubavitcher Rebbe was trying to give over. The way I understand it, the absolute essence of what he was trying to give over is that you need to know that in Galus, in Tzimtzum, in Hester Panem, yeah, that is more infinitely more. I don't want to say more godly because it isn't. It's infinitely more compatible with the essence of God than with revelation.
Tzimtzum is more compatible?
Because the very essence of God, which is, it's like the essence of all of us as well, basically, I don't know the difference, is not something that goes out. It just is. Which is it's not limited, it's just is. It's not going, it's not, light moves. That's why we have the speed of light. Light is defined by movement. Light is movement, yeah, it's moving. But that's you know what I'm saying? It's difficult to say. What? No, this is well before Shuvas Kalim. Shuvas Kalim is like way down there.
Things that fill something, you can only fill something if it wasn't there in the first place. It has to get there. It has to expand somewhere that it wasn't. It's everywhere, so it just is. It can't go to any other place because it's everywhere.
Very good.
And that's kind of what I'm having trouble with, because if Ein Sof is everything and everywhere, what is...
No, you can't say that. You can't say that.
What is Or Ein Sof illuminating if Ein Sof is everywhere?
You can't say that. You can't say Ein Sof is everywhere. You can say Or Ein Sof is everywhere. You can't say anything about Ein Sof. You can't say anything about Ein Sof.
You can say it's more compatible with Tzimtzum than it is with Revelation.
I said it's more compatible. I didn't say anything about itself. But there's nothing to say. There's no thing to talk about.
I feel like intuitively you can sense how there's more strength, the divine strength. I feel like you can sense how this concept you're describing, that divine strength is being manifested even more powerfully when it's stopping itself from revealing itself.
That's a different idea. That's a measure. That's
for us.
To hold yourself back.
Yeah, to hold yourself back is a more awesome expression of strength than.
Yeah, but we're not saying that. What I just said there was it's a different thing. That's 100% true. And it's a whole different idea. But this is a different idea. This is the idea of the essence of one, and it's the same of a person. There's nothing to talk about. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't go in. That's why I say that eating chocolate, let's say that's your thing, touches your pleasure. But say it touches your pleasure is wrong. It touches you, the source of who you are. That's
feeling alive.
You feel alive. That's you can say that when you have pleasure, you feel alive. That's this is the connection of Ratzon. And so anyway, we can't look. Okay, so you are your sense of pleasure. That's how important this is. You hear people talking about all different kinds of, what are you? And if we talk on like a basic Tanya level, you would say that you is a very complicated question. It depends what you're doing, it depends what you're thinking, it depends what you're feeling, it depends where you are, who you're with, it depends on all kinds of different stuff. It depends what the time is, etc. But when you're talking about the Nefesh of Bahamis, because the Nefesh of Bahamis has it's a whole partsuf, it has it's a whole structure. Yeah, what it really is pleasure. It's oineg, and that oineg now filters down into all kinds of different things. And that is what's driving the Nefesh Bahamis, pleasure. Whether your pleasure is to complete Shas, or whether you're Lahavdil, or your pleasure is something really, snoo stick or something, yeah? That's, when we're talking on the level of Chasidus, which is about Panemius, yeah, that is ultimately important. That's why Rabbi Shimon, who is Rabbi Shimon, who is Panemius HaTorah, he holds your for Adam She'enim is Kaven, your potter. Because he holds it's cool about your Kavanah. That's what he said by the Romans who built bridges and bathhouses and marketplaces. Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda said, "Man, this is Givaldic. Look what they've done. It's wonderful." Yeah, Rabbi Yossi didn't say anything, and Rabbi Shimon said, "No, they did it for themselves. I don't care what they did. I don't care. You get what like
the collecting taxes. They build the bathhouses for Znud." That's the Gemara in Avodah Zarah.
But the way Rabbi Shimon said is the Tzorech Atzman. That was the whole. He hated that. That was the whole thing that caused him to. The whole story was misgalvil from that. But I was speaking to a friend of mine last night, a very wealthy guy, and I said, when you give tzedakah, yeah, you got the same guy comes to your door, and you could give him tzedakah because you want to get rid of him, or you give him tzedakah because you must feel his pain. And when you give him tzedakah to get rid of him, it doesn't mean that you have to be, oh, here, take this, go, go, go. You could be giving it with a big smile, and it could look exactly the same. It's a different world, Lagamre. Yeah? One's about your pleasure, or avoiding your pain, and one's about his pleasure. That's why marriage is so intrinsic. That's why you're married to a woman, because you can't relate to her pleasure. You can't. You just can't. So you have to, at least all of her pleasures. So hopefully there's like a few pleasures that will like coincide. Hopefully, yeah? If you're lucky, yeah. But derech klal, you have to bend you have to put your pleasure to the side and try and you can't experience her pleasure, but you can at least maybe one day you could, but you at least you can
accommodate.
Like be mechabed. You say mechabed.
Accommodate. Yeah.
Accommodate. Yeah, exactly. To be mechabed. At least you can and even to put your pleasure to the side. Wow. To allow her pleasure that makes no sense to you, that's going to cost you a whole bunch of money, that doesn't make any sense bichlal. You don't see any toilets in that, yeah? Not that you don't have a mitzvah to help your wife maybe get through some silly things, like she helps you get through silly things. But if it's something that really doesn't make sense to you, and you can still put your pleasure to the side that makes sense, complete sense to you, and be machabed her pleasure, you really move forward in your avodas Hashem. And not because you want to be a tzaddik, then you didn't move forward. That's the problem. If you're doing that to be a tzaddik, then you're like a mountain climber.
Yourself again.
You fell back in. You know what mountain climb. You know what mountaineers go through. Do you know what they put themselves through? Mm-hmm. You ever read any accounts of what mountaineers go through? Mm-hmm. It will blow your head off. You should do it.
I have friends that climb. So.
It's unbelievable. They lose friends, yeah? You're expecting that you're going to lose a few friends on your trip, yeah? You pay a bunch of money for this, you pay tens of thousands of dollars, yeah? You go for, to get to one of these big climbs, yeah? You have like probably, at least a week or two of trekking with a whole, with donkeys and with Sherpas and all kinds of things, yeah? Then you get your base camp. Then you leave everyone down there and then the real climbers start going, yeah? And you don't wash or change your clothes for it could be 3 months. Yeah, that's quite extreme. But it could be up to 3 months you don't wash and change your clothes. Yeah, you frostbite. You lose you lose digits. Like everyone loses digits. Yeah, frostbite. You're risking your life. Like in the day. Yeah, the temperatures can exceed 120. Yeah, because you're so high up and there's the white and there's no atmosphere. And then in the night, it can be minus 40, yeah? And everything's cracking, your skin's cracking. You read some accounts, it's amazing.
And Everest and K2 and places like that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of those places, yeah. Everest is not such a big deal anymore. It might be the highest, but it's not like... it is. K2 is very tough, yeah. I've never done it. The thing... So wait, so now what? That's a mess. So these people are mamish humble people?
They're also walking across bodies. Their bodies is buried in the ice.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing is bonkers. It's almost crazy.
Sounds pleasurable.
That it is, yeah. Exactly. Just like the same thing, Yamach Shimon with the Chevra that came in over on October 7th. They were prepared to give up their lives and go to prison and get tortured by the Israelis. Why? Because that was their pleasure. The solidification of themselves was their pleasure. That's why I hate that Oysa Das. I hate it with a passion. Not the Notzrim. Yeah? I got a lot of tolerance for them. But Oysa Das, I don't even want to say the word. What?
The Notzrim also have some problems.
The Notzrim was like, everyone has problems. Everyone has problems.
During Crusades, they were like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. But now it's not like that. But that other thing we're talking about, that is mamash. And the dangerous thing of it is it's called submission. That's why I hate it so much, because it's the opposite. A human being can't submit. Only Nishmas Yisrael can give up. Only Nishmas Yisrael. Only Nishmas Yisrael. Otherwise, a human being will always be unavoidably solidifying himself or herself at some point. That could involve giving up your life. That could involve climbing a mountain, going through 3 months of torture and then spending the rest of your life in hospital. Could also involve that. But that was giving themselves solidity, and that's what we mean by pleasure. That is pleasure. So that pleasure doesn't mean that it's like nice taste, the sweet taste in your mouth, or the mitzvah, as we've said. Pleasure is life. The reason why those things are so pleasurable is because they make you feel alive. They're touching the essence of who you are. But it could also be that me, Braveheart, the final scene in Braveheart. Remember that when they're torturing him? And he's dying, Al Kiddush Atzmai. Yeah, that was it, He was dying to be Makadish himself. Not dying Al Kiddush Hashem, he's dying Kiddush Atzmai. That's people go through torture.
It's a reaction to other people. The reaction of the people listening to that. So a person climbs the mountain and they video it, whatever, they get that.
Now you see it. Now it's, But don't forget, people were doing this crazy stuff before they were videoing themselves as well. That's for sure crazy. But yeah.
There was a scientist in France who was riding balloons, air balloons with a horse, just to find out stuff about electricity. He was doing all of these crazy
horse on the balloon?
On the balloons. Yes.
Well, so what?
He
what? He did what?
He was trying to find out things about electricity.
Okay.
He rode hot air balloons into storms a few times. And one of those times, he rode them while riding a horse.
Okay, interesting. People do a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of people do a lot of crazy stuff. And this is why you need to understand this so deeply. Because just because you're doing crazy stuff and working really hard, it might be just taking you in the wrong direction, quicker. It really could be. That's why this is just so absolutely important. Because in the yeshivas, it can be that they're giving over such a work ethic and such a starkheit. But if you don't know what we're saying right now, then what are you doing? Really, you're breaking yourself, you're killing yourself, and you might say, well, this is, lo lishma, bo lishma, but lav dafka, that isn't a haftacha. If you look into it, it's not a haftacha. It's not a promise that will happen. In fact, if a person's getting more and more involved in their sense of self, you'll see that it's not going to look good in everything else, every other part of their life.
Even learning with Ritzifus, that's a new concept. Ritzifus, they are non-stop. It's like
if you don't know about this, then I don't know. It could be that your father explained it to you in much more simple terms, and you just know it, and that for sure could be. It could be that you couldn't articulate it the way we're articulating right now, and that's for sure that there is yidden like that. I'm not saying that everybody working hard is not doing the right thing, but if you don't understand the idea of what klipa is and the essence of your created self, well, then you really need to learn that. You need to learn it. It's not like rocket science as well. You can get this clear. You just have to become very, very aware of this. So now, this is the amazing bit in this chapter. See, when we talk about this, is what the Rebbe again, how he kind of encodes it. The basic idea of elevating this world, which is what I've always heard is the point of Yiddishkeit, yeah, elevating this world, is like, well, when you shake a lulav and esrog, you bring up the world of the vegetable world. When you wear tefillin, when you give tzedakah, you're makadosh all of the work that you did and the money, and when you give a behemoth as a korban, you makadosh, etc. Yeah, that's like the basic idea. You take the things of this world and you elevate them up. Yeah, and he says that later on, much later on. But when he introduces this idea, listen to what he says. He says derech moshel. Now he's talking about raising stuff up. Yeah. So I thought he would have said the wood for the table that you're learning on, or the books that the paper for the books that you're reading, or the cloth and the ore from the tefillin. Yeah, that would make sense. But this is what he says. He goes in a completely different direction. He says, "Oicha bisra shmeina da soira," someone who eats fatty meat of an ox. Yeah, v'shosi mavusam, and he drinks spiced wine. Lachachiv datoi lahashem esrasoi. To expand his mind for Hashem and his Torah. Keda'ama, Rabba, Chama, Reich, B'chula, yeah, like Rabba said. Yeah, or B'shul Kedei L'kam Mitzvahs Oinig Shabbos V'yomtiv. Azai Nizbara, Chiyas, Habasa V'yayin, Shahai Nishba, Maklipes Noiga, V'oila Hashem K'oila K'korban. Yeah, V'chein Ha'oime Milsid B'techusa, somebody who cracks a joke. L'fakeach data l'smach liboy laHashem, to open up the mind and make you happy, yeah? L'srasay l'avoidasay shetzrichen liyois besimcha, k'mo she'asa Rava Talmidov, she'amlei milchz b'tchusa t'chila b'tchi b'banan, as he would start his drasha with a joke and v'chule. Where was the wood? He did talk about, because what we're talking about is really panemius. He's talking about raising up the actual the bossa of the behemoth and stuff like that. But you realise what he...
Not talking about raising the bossa of the behemoth.
He said...
No, he's talking about enjoying the fatty meat of an ox. So that they need to finish the sentence. That's enough. You're enjoying the fatty meat of the ox, so that... Fill that in with something mitzvahdik.
Right.
You've turned your pleasure into a means to an end. That's the point of reality. That's everything. You understand? Otherwise, your pleasure, you go out for a nice meal, why?
But he's saying just to widen your mind for the sake of Hashem. That's all he's saying.
No, widen your mind so you can learn Torah better.
Is that what it means?
Yeah, that's
yeah. Not just to be able to grasp the deeper...
If it was, it would be... That's the danger.
That's where I was...
Yeah. So that's the danger of like meditation and this kind of thing, when it becomes an end unto itself. I had an unbelievable experience. I was completely melted into divine love. There was just white awe, and you're like, wow. And the question after that is, okay, and how did you connect that to mitzvah? Because if you didn't connect that to mitzvah, that was the same as eating pizza. But it was worse. You know why it's much worse? Because you've been deluded into thinking that something holy happened to you. Yeah, it didn't. Holiness is Torah and mitzvahs. Finished. If you can't get it into Torah mitzvahs, and you probably can get that experience into Torah mitzvahs, if it doesn't take context within Hashem's Torah, well then it's the same as, if you really want to be, if you really want to let go of the pshat, it's the same as niyuf with someone else's wife. It's just your pleasure. What I said there was not correct, because the pshat there is pshat. But if you want to really go panimi, then whether you're building hospitals because you want to get one up on your rich friend, or you're torturing women because you like it, not really any difference. Again, there is, because we live in a world of pshat, and pshat there's an infinite difference. But Rabbi Shimon didn't feel like that with the bathhouses and the bridges. He was like, I don't care about pshat. What's going on inside? That's panemius Torah. That's what panemius is. That's why it's called nigla and panemius.
The rationale is they're doing it so they will be able to connect with you. This is better.
Great. But if the experience is an end unto itself, then the person needs to
make that decision. I'm doing it for my pleasure, but I'm doing it b'shem that I can connect to Hashem and do more mitzvahs and learn more. And that's the rationale.
So I would say that a good litmus test of that is where your marriage is holding. where your marriage is holding.
Holding.
Where your marriage is holding. That's a good litmus test of that.
But they say that the marriages got better when they had that experience. The marriage got better.
When they what?
When they did that experience, the marriage got better.
Well, no. I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is that if a person is not living for themselves, they're probably, not always, but probably going to be experiencing quite a pleasant marriage. When a person isn't so concerned about themselves, when someone parks in your parking spot and you're not like, come, yeah, and you're just like, yeah, someone opens up a new business and they're doing the same thing as you. You give them a bracha, they should be matzliach. Yeah, that's when you're not stuck in your pleasure. Yeah, that means that when you have one of these experiences, so there's like my time, again, I might be completely wrong, yeah, I understand everything, I'm pretty prepared that it's going to be absolutely wrong, yeah, but there's someone that I know, I'm close with, who is about these experiences, yeah, and the way I understand reality, for whatever that's worth, is that I wouldn't change anything about what he's doing. I would just give a kind of disclaimer at the beginning that remember, this is not an end unto itself. Whatever kind of experience you might have now, it's not an end unto itself. The minute you think of yourself as an end unto yourself, and that means you take your pleasure seriously, as we've just said, yeah, you've popped out of the big picture. You're Yotzias Atzmai min haklal. That's the definition of Russia. Yeah, and again, in very mechanical terms. That is the person who thinks of himself as an end unto himself, meaning that my experiences are for me. No, your experiences are there to elevate to him. That's what it is. I mean, everyone understands this. It's just pashut. So like, this is Yiddishkeit 101. It's obvious when you think into it that the only Ratzon Hashem is 12 mitzvahs. So now that you might say that I put a lot of time into davening in the morning, yeah, I put a lot of energy and time into shachris, yeah, because do I want to have an experience? I love having an experience in shachris. Do I always have an experience in shachris? No, yeah, but I definitely give myself the best shot I can most days. B'ezrat Hashem, yeah. Why? Because that's the avodah of shachris, is giving an experience to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You're not having a shachris so you. Like this, yeah? That's the avodah of shachris. It's meant to be a tanug. It's meant to be a tanug. Like you hear how they talk about tashmish in halacha. Yeah, you're meant to go into tashmish. By the way, the three tanugim is Torah is nishikin, mitzvah is chibuk, and tefillah is zivug. Yeah? The three pleasures. The whole...
Tefillah or tefillin?
Tefillah. Tefillin is Lashon tefillah anyway. Yeah. But look at how backward it is. The tzaddikim would approach tashmish like pachad mavis, like there was a shin daled there. Like it was like the most terrifying experience. Yeah, not that's how we should approach it. Like in our generation with our wives, etc. Yeah, but and tefillah was a tremendous oineg. Now it's like the opposite. Tefillah is like something you just want to get done with until you get into the bedroom. That's called gullus. Everything's on his head.
He says that one of the Moraim that he made a tefillah that his
who's saying with Nachman?
No, Nachman Bresler.
Yeah.
The Gemara, one of the Moraim said that one of the Moraim prayed that his davening should be close to his bed. Right after he wakes up in the morning, he should go davening, and I should learn that to learn in between that, waking up and going to davening. But Nachman Hall said that the tefillah in the bed is talking about tashmish, and he said that he was davening that there should be no difference between davening to Hashem or tashmish. It's the same experience.
Dude, that's what it is. It's zivug with the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's mama's zivug with the Rebbeinu Shalom. But not that you're important. Not that it's about you having the experience. It's about that's the mitzvah. You only exist in context of mitzvah. You only exist in context of his ratzon. The minute you are an end unto yourself, you got to work that out. You fell out the picture. You know what I mean? So the answer, what you said, Yudi, is that how do you know when you're? What does your life look like? People like you. you're contentious or you're getting on, like people are machabed you. Your wife respects you and she's into you. That means that you're respecting her, you're into her. Yeah, that means you're stepping outside of yourself. So that's really the proof of then what I've found personally, for whatever madrega I'm on, whatever that's worth, is that Hashem starts to send you really intense experiences, like really real experiences, and they're like, you say thank you to him, like you say thank you for a really good, good Shabbos Suda or something. The thank you is that I was zeicha to give this to you. That's what it's about. But when it becomes you unto yourself, so there's either one of two options. Yeah, there's ends and means to ends. In truth, ends is Hashem, His pleasure. That's the end. Yeah. Now, your job as a human being, as a Jew, as a human being, is to find how you are a means to that end. If you are an end unto yourself, then it's actually the opposite. That Hashem now is a means to an end. I call him your pocket god. You go out into the forest, you're like, okay, Hashem, I need to feel really what? That's called turning Hashem into your. But that's what we do. He's there to give me Yeshuas. He's there to give me experiences. He's there to give me Olam Haba. He's there to get my kids married. He's there for all these things that I need. Yeah, He exists in context of me. I'm Elohim Acherim. Chas v'shalom. That's the danger of His boidedus. If it's not predicated on some serious learning. That's my I'm not a Breslever. Yeah, not that I have anything against Breslev, but there's dangers. The dangers of it are that if it's not predicated on a lot of deep learning, it can be not helpful. It can be not helpful. If you go out to the forest and you're screaming at God because He hasn't done this for you, hasn't done that for you, yeah, or you feel like this, you feel like that, and what? He's your valet. That's it. Reality is there to pander to you. No, I'm here to serve reality. You know what I'm saying? So it's dangerous. It has to be predicated on a lot of learning. So that's the essence of this. Now just we still got another few minutes. Okay. So if anyone needs to leave, you're welcome to leave. But what I wanted to get into here, and this is bringing it down to like a little bit more of a practical level, is that the Rebbe says that when a person is involved in things, basically what we're saying, not lishma. When a person is, what does it mean if it's not lishma? It means it's for you. That's what it means. So in things not lishma, he brings the Gemara that it's the soul goes into a place that is it's the opposite of from the Pnei Hashem. What does the Pnei mean? What does it mean your Ponim? What? No. Your Ponim is you. The Ponim is the end. Yeah? That's the person. That's why it means a relationship. Panim al panim means that I'm in it for you. And it's a central relationship. It's not like something I can get from you. So it says you've fallen away from the Pnei Hashem B'tachlis. When a person is involved in himself, yeah, this is the funny thing, is like a lot of people, you guys don't give them any kickback anymore, yeah, but whenever I start talking these ideas with fresh people, fresh to these ideas, yeah, I get huge kickback of, oh no, you're just a schmutter and you have to give to yourself, and I appreciate what people are saying, and we have to work through that, yeah. But this is the funny thing, is that the more a person is involved in himself, the more they end up in a parched and barren land, Salmavis. That's what that's called. That place that you call you, yeah, your pleasure, is called Eretz Salmavis. That's correct. It's not even Mavis, it's Salmavis. It's lower than Mavis. It's the shade of Mavis. Yeah? It's mamash. And you know what kind of feeling that's... And everyone knows this, yeah? Everyone knows that the more narcissistic somebody is, yeah, the more abysmal their life is, the more they suffer. It's like, it's just... But they might not... you see it, they might not admit it, yeah? But the more narcissistic you get, that's why Tony Robbins... I've got a quote, believe in Tanya, imagine that. I took a quote from Tony Robbins, I stuck it in my Tanya. Look.
Oh, wow.
Only those who have learned the power, and this is the only time he quotes himself in the book. What's that book?
Giant?
Yeah, the Awakening the Giant. Yeah, he quotes all the Chevra, and he quotes himself once. Only those who have learned the power of sincere and selfless contribution experience life's deepest joy, true fulfillment.
Wow, nice.
Meaning, getting out of yourself and becoming. I mean, first you have to touch who you are. Yeah, you have to work that out. That's first. But that doesn't mean pounding yourself. That just means making and keeping promises. Yeah, getting in control of yourself. Before you can appreciate another human being, you have to be in control of yourself. But everybody who's worth anything knows that you feel much better when you're out there helping people than opposed to just what can I get? It's just posher. It's just mama's posher. That's humanity 101. So this is kind of the mechanism that Hashem included in reality to make sure that everything works out. Is the more self-indulgent we become, the more unpleasant our lives get, and hopefully, like the Rebbe says, that will cause you to come back in tshuva. What's tshuva? This is the prayer where he mentions tshuva. Tshuva is that, we've said this before, I'll say it another million times, is that tshuva is, let's say, the woman did something, like she did it again and it's crazy, and he hadn't eaten, and something happened at work, and he's in the worst matzah ever, yeah, and she did the same thing again but much worse, and chas v'shalom, he slaps her. Yeah? Man slaps his wife. Chas v'shalom. She runs off crying, yeah, and he sits down and he puts his hand on his head and he's like, I can't believe what I've become. I can't believe what level I've fallen to. This is mamash terrible, yeah? That's better than not caring, yeah? A bit. But what tshuva really is a man sits down and he says to himself, I can't believe what my wife has to deal with. I can't believe what she's having to put up. I can't believe what sorrow she's having to put up with. Not even that that's the next layer, but that is what tshuva is. Tshuva is shuvu Hashem. Not shuvu to innocence, not to get rid of. That's why it's like in church with the boxes they sit in. Yeah, it's to get stuff off your shoulders. Yeah, who doesn't want to do that? What's good about that? Avada, you did something wrong. You want to tell someone, and you're like, what is it? A problem shared is a problem halved, or something like that. Well, something like that. Yeah. Of course, you want to get stuff that you've done off your shoulders. Yeah, that's not tshuva. That's called confession in a church. Yeah, there's also vidui, but that's not tshuva. Tshuva is a zivas achet. Yeah, but the panemius of tshuva is Rabbeinu Shalom, you're real, and you deserve more from me than this. You deserve more from me. So like I said the other day, yeah, you've got one of these cars. You buy yourself a fancy car with 12 cylinders. Yeah, and you floor it. Yeah, and you're on a racetrack, whatever. And you see it comes up on the electric, the masach, the dashboard with the LCD. It's like, listen, I'm not in the mood. I'm giving you 2 cylinders today. That's it. Let's see, tomorrow maybe we'll give you the whole thing. Well, let's see how we're feeling. Right now I'm giving you 2 cylinders. That's the analogy of you not pulling your weight in Olam Hazeh. Not that you're going to Gehenna, not even you're not going to feel close to Hashem. Yeah, that's like a mechanism that's put into it to help you. Yeah, but it's just not right. You're a creation. He created you. That's more than being owned. Like, you're upset with your car. You didn't create your car, you just bought it. You own your car, and that's unacceptable. Yeah, your car's saying, no, I'm giving you 2 cylinders, wait until I feel like it, yeah? You could sit there in the bar with your friends, you'll be, I can't believe this. Never going to get one of these cars again. My mum was, yeah? And you didn't even create it, you just bought it, yeah? So Kol V'chomer, he is your creator. You're a creation, you belong to him, and you're not putting in your... That's just not right. And you wouldn't feel right about that if someone was doing that to you. So put it together, that's it. Yeah, tshuva is, he deserves more, that's it. And then, is this Zerah V'Tola? Oh, so he finishes off Zerah V'Tola. We can finish this in 5 minutes. Zerah V'Tola, see, Zerah V'Tola is pleasure, shame, pleasure. Tashmish is not pleasure. It probably is, it usually is, but at least, and that's the, by the way, that's the secular argument. If you like, as a Bible person of the Bible, yeah, you have a real issue with Mishkav Zocher, yeah. Everyone knows what Mishkav Zocher is. Yeah?
No, but is it?
What?
No. Homosexuality. Oh, homosexuality.
So every religious person has a problem with that, yeah. But as a secular person who doesn't believe in God, you'd be like, well, what you do in your bedroom is up to you. If you're both consenting adults, yeah. But no. This is what you can say, even on the secular side, that it's wrong, is because the very concept of Mishkav Zocher is the taking the pleasure, stripping the pleasure away from the means to an end. Because Tashmish is a means to an end. Tashmish is to have children. Mishkav Zocher strips that pleasure away and turns the pleasure into an end unto itself. So what's the problem with that? Because the society will fall apart. If that becomes praised, that pleasure for the sake of pleasure is something for itself, that's the end of your society, as we're seeing in America right now.
But there is no issue. The Gemara doesn't have any issue with Tashmish after the age of child.
Yeah, but same. But there's still the inyan of, you're right, but there's the inyan of it's the Efsharas. There's lots of other things as well, like
Sarah,
I'm saying conceptually. Because it's interesting, I never thought about the idea of the virgin birth in that sense. I don't know why it's been in my head. The idea of it just drives me nuts. The thought of it, like the belief in it. From the Notes Room, what they say.
No, but there's two opinions in Gemara on how it could be. Right?
I could only understand one way that could have happened.
No, one is in the mikveh.
Okay, that's interesting.
And the other one is...
there is in the Gemara, there is that in the mikveh.
That if she went in right after there was Shichat Zera in the mikveh...
I know the Gemara.
The other one was that I think Shmuel was expert on, it says that not breaking the hymen or something. Or I don't remember exactly who it was.
I'm saying, okay, I just...
William's been a joke, the guy comes home and he's married, he's like, pregnant. And he says, how'd you get pregnant? He said, it was immaculate. It better have been immaculate.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's a bit, whatever. It's an interesting thing. I'm thinking.
It was also immaculate. All these women were cheating on their husbands, and it was God.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. If someone came to me and told me that their wife has fallen pregnant and it's a virgin birth and it's from heaven, I would tell him to be Maher.
Right?
Don't take that as a show. Anyway, so that was like, but now the point of Zera Levatala, which is also Bias Asuras, and it also links up with women as well. That's also Bias Asuras, another man's wife, etc. Bias Asuras, Biat Asuras. Yeah, that is the now what he says here. Do I understand it? Is that
even if it's like by himself? He said Bia Surah.
No. Zera Levatala is not Bia. Zera Levatala is Shechus Zera. Yeah, Zera Levatala, but there's Bias Asuras. So he just
forbidden relations.
Yeah, like with a man or with a married woman or etc. Yeah. So
because it takes away what you were saying.
The avoider. By the way, there's a very beautiful. This is a beautiful gematria that's very interesting. Is Kabbalah is the same gematria as Niyuf. What's the connection in Kabbalah and Niyuf? And they're not talking about like real Kabbalah, because real Kabbalah is not such a pleasure to learn. Not like we're talking like the Indian, yeah. The Indian of Sodus and
seduction.
What?
Seduction.
No, Niyuf is extramarital relations.
Oh.
It has the potential. Why? Because if you disconnect Geschmacka learning from the avoider, from the avoidus Hashem of the that's like niyuf. It's like what's the real a marriage is 99% the kitchen and the dining room, and 1% the bedroom. That's what marriage is. But if you want to just take that 1% bit. That's called having illicit relations. Why? That's what the woman on the side is. Yeah, she's just that. That's niyuf. So Kabbalah, if you take the pneumius Torah away from the avoid of halacha, that's mamash bechinas niyuf. Understand? It's mamash the same in you. The shalom bayis, the actual relationship is built with the actual halacha, the doing the mitzvahs, yeah, the day-to-day grind of doing the mitzvahs. But the pleasure of the whole thing, yeah, that's like the cherry on the top of the cake. That's the expression is, yeah. Whereas, so if you take that cherry away, yeah, and you just take the geschmack of learning. If you just take away that geschmack in the learning and it's dislocated from the avodah of halacha and Ratzon Hashem, that's niyuf. That's like having a woman on the side. There's the actual relationship, and then there's the consummation of the relationship. So then there's the actual relationship with Hashem, which is Torah mitzvahs and avodah and halacha, and then there's the inner dimension of that, which is like on top. Anyway, so now just to finish off very quickly, he says that when the tumor that is caused from zera levatala, there's a greater riboy of tumor. Yeah, it expands. This is just conceptual what that means. Yeah, it expands, but, and this is what he says, it's really easy to fix. Yeah, really easy to fix by tshuva nechoina. Yeah, which is saying it, we'll do it again, and Kriya Shema Alamita. Yeah, like Rabbi Nachman says Tikkun Klali. So the Alter Rebbe says Kriya Shema Alamita and Tshuva Nechoina. So Rabbi Nachman also holds it's not such a big thing to fix. It's a terrible thing, but to fix it, it can be fixed. That's Tikkun Klali. Yeah. So that's Zera Levatala. If it's not fixed, it's worse than Bias Asuros. If it's not fixed, but it's really quite straightforward to fix. Meaning to get that energy back, yeah, is much more simple. However, Bias Asuros, he said, the kedusha, which is the moshel is the zera, gets taken by the what's he called, the klipas, the cave. What's he call it? 1 minute. Hamakablas ukletas, yeah, the nukva de klipa. It gets taken into a klipa. Because Bias Asuros, the difference between Bias Asuros and Zera Levatala is that there's a kli kibul for the zera. Yeah, there's the zera goes into something. Yeah, whatever that is the klipa. Now, the way he explains it is there isn't a reboy of truma because it's being contained. But to get it out is a much bigger deal. To fix Bias Asuros, so what's worse? Zera Levatala or Bias Asuros? Don't do either of them. Zera Levatala, there's a big reboy of tumor in the world, really big reboy of tumor, yeah, but it can be fixed quite.
It's accessible.
You can get it back. You can fix it. Yeah. Bias Asuros is there's a much.
Because it's not contained, so all
exactly.
you have to do is collect it. And
you have to. He said, Tshuva Nechoina and Kriya Shema Alamita brings it back. Yeah.
Because it's between you. If there was another person, it's.
He doesn't explain the mechanics of it. The Semach Tzedek in Derech Mitzvah Sech in Mitzvah Tshuva gets into that quite deeply. Like is it Bias Asuros, it doesn't cause as much damage in the world, yeah, but it's very, very difficult to fix. And if a mum's is born, yeah, then he says it's impossible to fix. However, I heard in the name of the Rayats that if you do deep enough tshuva, I would know as I heard is that if you do deep enough tshuva, the mums will drop dead. What? I heard that in the name of the Rayats. I heard that in the name of the Rayats. If a mamzer is born from an Aveira, that's what a mamzer is. A mamzer is the.
I heard that if you have a child with a goya, then if you do proper tshuva, then the child. But I never heard about a mamzer. I guess
a mamzer is the concept of a mamzer is an Aveira that becomes clothed in Basav Adam.
I know, but the
If a man, the way I understand, if a man
father's a goyish child,
yeah,
but you father's a goyish child,
that's true. I hear that. I don't. All I'm
but
saying,
that's technically not a mamzer.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's not a good.
But I heard that same. Maybe they took the.
So I heard that in the name of the Rayats. Anyway, okay, that was Peter's line. Shkoya.